Hello, everyone. It's Sibyl Star, and I'm here to give the astrology forecast for the coming week, and I call it MoonDay morning astrology, because the moon is um, is the ruler of Mondays, or is associated with Monday, and this comes out on Monday morning. Okay, the day of the moon, and of course, the word mundane also comes from the moon. The moon really has to do with the more common touch, the people, okay, as well as our own emotional body. So I feel like it's so important to recognize the moon because the moon represents our emotional body and that is actually how we interface with the world mostly, is with that emotional body, which is very subjective, okay, very personal, very private. We don't always share what we're feeling, although sometimes we do. Okay, anyway, so this week is from June 12th to the 18th. So this week the sun is in Gemini, where it's been traveling, and it is from 22 to 28 degrees. And we have a new moon this week. So I'm going to start with that because it's a super powerful new moon. It's a very magical new moon. And so, and it happens at 27 degrees, or what is it, 26, what is it, 43 minutes, 26 degrees, 43 minutes of Gemini, or we just say 27 degrees. And it happens at 9:38 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, so you can convert that to your own time zone. All right, so first off, what is Gemini? Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is god of the mind. So Gemini often needs a lot of intellectual stimulation, a lot of variety, is very curious. It is open, it asks us to open our mind to the wonder and awe of the universe. Okay. And with Gemini is the archetype of the heretic, questions everything. There are no sacred cows. Okay. There's just always, kind of like a toddler, a why, well, and often, because I said so is not enough, But anyway, uh, uh, questioning everything. And this new moon is conjunct the star Polaris. And Polaris is the North Star right now. And people have always navigated by the stars, and the North Pole has, excuse me, the North Star has always been the guide. If you can find the North Star, you can find your way around everything else. But I feel like a message of this new moon is saying to let the stars be our guide through these times of great transition and change. Now, like I said, this new moon is just super magical. It's opposite the Galactic Center. And the Galactic Center sits at 27 degrees, 16 minutes of Sagittarius. And they say, it is the center of our galaxy, and that a huge black hole is there at the center of our galaxy. And they say that this is actually a portal, and it is a connection to source energy. They say that it is the place of the great central sun, which is the source of all creation. It's like the direct connection there. And it is said to be the place of our spiritual center. And when it is activated, it can inspire us to open to more of our divinity and remember who we are. I just heard someone say, and it really stuck with me. She said, our job is to awaken and remember that we are 99% divinity, 1% humanity. Okay. This place also links us to the quantum field for solutions, upgrades, and evolution. Now, the planet Neptune is squaring the sun opposite the galactic center, which creates like a T-square. And so we may be shifting realities. Because Neptune is very otherworldly, and it shows us what's beyond the veil. It lifts us into the world of energy and frequency, and light. And so, and also other dimensions and other realities. They say that we are multidimensional beings having experiences in other dimensional realities, and everything is existing at the same time. So I do feel like there could be a shifting of realities. Well, let's put it this way. They say we shift realities all the time. We're just not aware of it. And I feel like there's a potential to become more aware of it. So it can be a bit disorienting. I feel like I do that in at times when I meditate, because when I come back, I feel like I'm a little nauseated. And when that happens, I know that I've been shifting realities. And so I have found a way to work with it, of course, is to eat something that is grounding. And of course, go outside, hug a tree. That really brings you back in. Okay. And this new moon is going to help us open to some higher frequencies through our waking and dreaming life, giving us new perspectives arising from larger realities, basically a paradigm shift. That we might do some paradigm shifting, kind of see things we hadn't seen before, or see it from a new way that we just hadn't seen before, that really opens and expands our consciousness. I feel like there is the potential for all of the increased clairs, the clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizant, an activation of our own spiritual technology and inner truth. Well, and to just know, a new moon sets the intention for 30 days, is they're really planting the seed. So no, this is actually a 30-day process. Okay. And ultimately, I think, though, it is activating the remembrance of unity, consciousness, and the oneness of the universe, and the reality that we've truly never left source, that this is a dream and we are awakening and remembering. Okay. I feel like it's about becoming part of something greater than ourselves. And something else that is happening, Neptune is opposing Ceres, the great goddess Ceres, at 27 degrees of Virgo. See, Neptune is at 27 degrees of Pisces, Ceres is at 27 degrees of Virgo. So you have the Virgo Pisces axis. But Ceres is an aspect of the Great Mother. She's an aspect of the Great Mother that is one of the faces of Gaia. Ceres in Greek mythology was the daughter of Gaia. And Ceres is the plant world. It's what feeds us, what nourishes us, what heals us, all of the different plants and vegetation here on Mother Earth. And so I feel like one of the teachings, of course, is to stay grounded to Mother Earth and anchor reality in your own consciousness. But it's also, I feel like it's about magical nature beings might make themselves known to us, because what is happening on a bigger scale, and I feel like this new moon isn't making it happen. It's just showing us what is happening. And what is happening is that there is an intersection of the third dimensional matrix and the fifth dimensional matrix happening. And that is a place where we're starting to let magic in. It's like the fifth dimensional matrix is what do you say? Like I said, intersecting, but the goal ultimately is integration, is full integration of the fifth dimensional matrix into our third dimensional reality. Anyway, so it's a really good time to put out your crystals, to let them be charged up, and do a ceremony if possible. Okay. All right. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, and Mercury is in his own sign this week. Let's see, he's moving from 1 to 12 degrees of Gemini, and he's in a square to Saturn, and Saturn is in Pisces. So Saturn always brings in a challenge to be more focused and less scattered, but Saturn is in Pisces. Pisces is focused, it also needs some energy there. So I feel like it's about using your mind to create. This is a very imaginative time, a very creative time. So it's also important to remember that thoughts create, and to be really aware of where your thoughts are, and to focus them on what it is you want to create. what is it they say about worry? Because this could also increase worry and anxiety. So, and they say, was it worry is a prayer for creating something you don't want. So be really aware of where your thoughts are. No, it's a very fertile field for creativity and creating what you want. All right, Venus is traveling in Leo. She's traveling from 5 to 12 degrees. She's going to be in Leo until October 9th because she's going to go retrograde in July. And she's going to go retrograde on the Feast of Mary Magdalene at 22 degrees, on July 22nd at 28 degrees of Leo. I'm going to be making a whole video about this because this is a really significant event. I feel like it's a deep dive into the divine feminine because it also conjuncts the star Alphard in the constellation of Hydra, the serpent. And I feel like this is about the activation of the serpent energy or the Kundalini. Okay. And of course, Mary Magdalene was very much about sacred sexuality. And the Venus retrograde is often the story of Inanna, the Inanna's descent to the underworld and what that looks like in our lives. So anyway, I'll be talking a lot about that. But just until then, Venus is in Leo is a queen, and she knows she deserves all the abundance of the universe. She is passionate, creative, dramatic, warm-hearted, and the ultimate romantic. She loves to be adored, pampered, and admired. And the shadow is that it can be overly dramatic, extravagant, and vain. Okay. All right. Well, Venus is always a shadow of vanity, regardless of the sign. But I think Leo, it could be a little stronger. Okay. All right. Mars is also traveling in Leo. Now, Venus and Mars are not conjunct. They don't really become conjunct until later in the fall. But they're traveling in the same sign, but very close. You could say they're conjunct, actually. They're about 6 degrees apart. So yeah, so you could say they're conjunct, but they're never exact, right? They're not exact right now. And Mars is, of course, the warrior. He is our energy to just do it. He's our direction in life. And in Leo, Mars is proud, self-confident, and grand, is highly passionate and courageous. Many entertainers have Mars in this sign, as Mars in Leo often likes to perform, and it can give charisma. The shadow can be arrogance. Okay. And there's something interesting happened because Mars is also traveling along with Black Moon Lilith and then with Athena. And so, Black Moon Lilith, to me, is the Hebrew version of Kali. She carries a sword of truth. And so I feel like, and Leo is so much about letting your light be seen. So I feel like it's very much about releasing your inner wild woman, okay, to let her go, okay? And if planets are near this, it can increase personal magnetism and charisma, and don't want to be restricted by societal conventions. Okay. And I'll talk more about Athena when I do the new moon reading. Okay. So Pluto, of course, is retrograde and just moved back into Capricorn on June 11th. Pluto has been in Aquarius since March 3rd, but now he's going back into 29 degrees, which is, an anaretic degree. The last degree is called an anaretic degree, and, they call it the last chance saloon. But what it is, it's about digging deep again into what no longer has life force. It's like the snake shedding its skin. Feel like it's continuing with the excavation of the corruption of our public institutions and those who hold the power. They're unraveling. Because we're in the process of transformation. The way, it can be scary, and yet we know it's like what we're doing isn't working. We need something different, and it's actually in the process of happening. But of course, as we know, Pluto requires deep honesty with ourselves and others. In our personal lives, especially if Pluto is going over a sensitive point, such as the sun, the moon, Venus, whatever, it's doing deep excavation in our own psyche, in our own consciousness, until the deeper issues are brought to light so they can be healed and transmuted. Pluto events are always about soul healing, releasing some trauma where we've held in our consciousness. And it could be from this lifetime. I mean, it just depends on how much work we have done this lifetime, but it could also bring up other lifetimes, and it could also bring up collective, that we're working out something in our own consciousness that is tied to a collective trauma. Okay. And so it's also square the nodes. Pluto remains in a square to the nodes because Pluto is moving retrograde, and so are the nodes. And of course, the nodes are always a point of destiny. The south node is what we're releasing. The north node is where we're going. And so our future depends on our choices. So choose wisely. Okay. That's what Pluto, one of the meanings of Pluto in Capricorn is as well, because it's very much about self-empowerment and self-mastery. Okay. We also have Saturn goes retrograde this week. The planets are starting to go retrograde. It goes retrograde on June 17th at 7 degrees, 12 minutes of Pisces. Saturn is retrograde 4.5 months every year. And Saturn retrograde, I would say Saturn and Pluto, when they go retrograde, you can feel it. Some of the other outer planets, you don't feel it as much, but this one you do. So when Saturn stations and turns retrograde, it really asks us to, number one, to focus, to make discerning choices. Where do you want to focus your energy, especially if you're scattered? Kind of pull it in, and to know that it's a natural time to review our obligations and reconsider where we want to focus our energy. And some level of withdrawal is possible now. Asking us, we may be asked to become more focused on spiritual or artistic practices in our inner world. Dreaming new projects. It's a very creative time for visioning and dreaming, and let your imagination fly. All right, so what is the moon doing? Well, first off, let's see. So Monday, mid-Monday, what have I got here? Let's just say Monday and Tuesday. What have I got? Oh, it's Monday through mid-Tuesday. That's where I'm trying to say here. Monday through mid-Tuesday, the moon is in Aries. And of course, Aries, it's a good way to start the week with Aries, because you could start with a lot of energy, with new projects. You may feel energetic and enthusiastic, but it's also important when the moon is in Aries to get some physical activity. The moon is conjunct Chiron, and that can bring up potential conflicts that can arise from our triggers being activated. The triggering of an unhealed part of ourselves or an old trauma that wants to come to light. And then later on, the moon squares Pluto. And so I feel like, the trigger happens, and then we get an opportunity to make a different choice of how to respond to the trigger. We can break an old emotional pattern, which will free us from that wound and is very healing, self-empowering. All right, mid-Tuesday through Thursday, the moon is in Taurus. Taurus, after kind of like the big healing that happens around the Aries moon, or that potential or whatever happens, Taurus then just wants to kind of relax. It's a place of serenity, of inner peace, of comfort. It's very sensual. It asks us to stop and smell the roses, to really be present, to be fully present in our life. And Taurus asks us to slow down our life and to be present. Okay, it is conjunct Uranus though, and Uranus pushes us out of that comfort zone, and we could have sudden breakthroughs. Okay, on Friday and Saturday, we have the moon in Gemini. And of course, our basic instinct is to communicate, think, and learn under the influence of the moon in Gemini. It's lighthearted, breezy, and curious. All right, and I already talked about the new moon. And then on Sunday, the moon moves into Cancer. And of course, Gemini likes to be active, busy, interacting. I would say most new moons are really time to do inner work, but Gemini might really want to really connect with others. But then come Sunday, we want to maybe be home with the sun in Cancer, be with our family. It really wants, once again, inner peace and quiet, a feeling of belonging and safety. The moon is actually associated with Cancer. We may also feel moody. When the moon goes through Cancer, you might find that you're really feeling a lot. There's a lot of emotions that want to be released. And the key is you have to feel them, okay, to release them, to heal them. And you may want to withdraw a bit, like I said, with your home and family. All right. Well, wishing you all a wonderful week. I hope this was helpful. If you like this video, please check like and subscribe. And if you'd like to contact me for a reading, astrology, or a natal chart, an update, or my galactic astrology that I'm doing now, you can my contact information is in the description box below. All right. Blessings to all. Wishing you all much love, and namaste.